So Polaris is one of Ignition's premier integrators, and we tend to work traditionally where digital transformation and industrial automation meet. And this project is a really, really good example of that. So to set the stage, there was a plastics manufacturer that had a highly manual process, lots of paper travelers and manual recording of data. And the process really required the operators to take a batch traveler to know what they're blending, what they're making, and in what quantities. And then they'd weigh all the information or weigh out all the materials and then report that information down manually. So as you can see, the system was really reliant, depending on the operators, to be accurate. And the client was ready to take their first step into the digital transformation. So, and really the goals were to eliminate all the paper, improve flow, and improve record keeping. So the approach we landed on to modernize their process was Rockwell PLCs, Ignition PLC, Ignition Perspective, and SQL-based solution. So the overall architecture that we went on or developed with them, we started with a ground up approach. The way that the overall architecture needed to function was we needed a centralized server and we needed to have 5 individual blending stations, all with a slightly different perspective client. And because we needed to grab data from both the OT network, business network, and the business network and the OT network, we had to have a dual network card primary server. So the 5 blending stations, each one of them was going to have a different look and feel, and we needed to be able to read and write file access to the OT network or to the business network. Here's a high-level overview of what we actually deployed. This is the topology. We had to be ready to have future expansion. That's what you can see on the left side here. And on the right side, this is what was actually deployed today. There's also a network ring there so that we were making sure the network was very resilient in case anything did happen there. And here's our simplified overview of what the actual Ignition architecture ended up being. So we had direct connection to PLCs and database and pushing out to the individual touch panels for the client views. And then we have an additional network connection to the business network. So why is Ignition a great fit for this one? And a few of the most straightforward reasons were project inheritance, parameterization based on IPs, CSV import and export, and SQL integration and scalability. And probably one of the best time-saving and biggest pieces for us was the ability to use inheritance. So with this framework, being able to adapt to what we've already developed previously. So we spent several years developing both MES and batching frameworks that really reduce delivery times. And we know that this is a code base that we can really trust. So by using project inheritance, we can extend the projects and meet our clients' needs really, really rapidly. So our clients tend to love it because it shortcuts development time and delivery time, which ultimately will reduce costs. And then we really love it because we know the integrity of our code base stays intact. So it allows us to really extend what we've done in the past to cut down on development and make things just way smoother for our clients. The next piece that we want to lean into here was that due to the project requirements, we had each of the individual workstations, each of the 5 workstations, we're going to have a slightly different look and feel. So, and each one of those workstations all use the same master screen. So each of the workstations still have the same underlying screen that they're pulling from, but due to parameterization, we're able to show a slightly different look or feel depending on what is actually available there. The way we're doing that is we're actually leveraging the IP of the individual workstation to set those parameters and to drive it forward. And what it does is being able to do it this way is it creates a really seamless user experience as an operator goes from one workstation to the next. And one of those things that happens to happen on every workstation and has to work the same way is the CSV import. So and this was probably the biggest and most systemic shift for them was eliminating those paper travelers. So when we had in their original state, when they had the paper traveler going around giving them all the information, and it was just kind of an antiquated system. So in this digital transformation, the first thing that we wanted to do and make sure that we really were doing was eliminating that paper traveler. So by being able to leverage the CSV files is just a completely big game changer for them. And that's both for the importing of the recipes and the exporting of the batch records. So now when the operator goes to a workstation, they're able to open up the navigation tool. They go to that shared network location, which is why we had to have that dual network card. They select the file and they're able to import it. When they import it, we go through that CSV, we parse out all the data and the information. And that's got all your raw materials, your weights, your targets and parameters, and then we'll display that back to them. So through this portion of it, they're able to actually see what each of their individual work steps are through the job number or through the job, and they'll see what all the different batching ingredients are. They'll see what the individual batching steps are, and then we keep track of all that information. So we're keeping track of everything, and then when they're finished, we actually bundle it all back up into another CSV and push it back onto another network location. Now, this is kind of a half step. In the future, we are going to be going fully into keeping those batch records into the system. And that is because Ignition plays really nice with SQL. So because we can do that in the future, we're going to be able to leverage more full track and trace and additional Ignition. The fact that Ignition can do real-time monitoring through Ignition or through SQL, all of the real-time historization is a huge feature that just brings a ton of additional value to our clients and to this client particularly as well. And then one of the biggest reasons why this is such a really good application and why we were able to do what we do with Ignition is because of the future readiness. So in addition, next steps for this client is we're going to be doing a full batching suite deployment. We're going to be managing the work orders and recipes directly into the system. We'll be able to do ERP integration through API backflushing. And we'll have full batch historization and genealogy. So that's just one of the absolute best things that they can do and be able to be ready for Industry 4.0 and that full digital transformation. So in conclusion, the client was really happy with the results, and we were really appreciative to have another client that we can work with on the digital transformation journey. So the project was a really good example of how the right tools and the right team can really transform an operation and get them ready for that future ready state. And I think that is all I have, Travis.
Well, thank you, Derek, so much for that presentation. This project is a perfect showcase for digital transformation, right? Getting rid of whiteboards and clipboards and migrate them to a modern application with a SQL backend. And the CSV integration itself is a perfect example of being able to say yes, right? To be able to do that. If you can get the data in a form that's easy to read, and you can bring it into Ignition. You can take advantage of that data and do more with it. So again, thanks for sharing that.